It is a very cloudy evening here on track where we return to Luddenham Raceway for round 3 of the Go-Kart Championship. A track familiar to all but one, as one of the more notable driver changes is Alex Caruana, who will be making his debut in not just the Go-Kart Championship, but in go-karting altogether. So he'll be filling in for Nick Wardle at Mercedes. The man who got pole position last time around is unable to return for race 3 this weekend. Luddenham Raceway marks the first track on the race calendar to host back-to-back Grand Prix, the first of which was won by Ryan Alvarado last time out after qualifying third on the grid. The track itself stretches 800 metres from start to finish and is comprised of 3 sectors, the third of which is the longest on the track. There are 13 corners on track with 5 rights and 8 lefts, one of which is turn 2, where Anthony made a double overtake on Nico and Alex Capetta last time out at Luddenham in the rain. Turn 7 is a tricky hairpin which could be troublesome for some of the drivers if it rains, as we see Alex Capetta dive down the inside of Anthony Capetta. And the final corner, turn 13, is a great overtaking spot for any drivers coming out of the S chicanes and down the back straight, as we can see Anthony getting past Shashank Iyer and Marco getting past Roshi just in front of them. So, race 3 here at Luddenham Raceway, and we are almost at the halfway mark of this 6-race championship. The air temperature is currently 19 degrees, with the track temperature just over 32 degrees Celsius, and I believe the drivers have just come off the track from the practice session, so let's take a look at some of the highlights of that session. Anthony Capetta topped the timesheets in the practice session with a 37.5 second lap. Both Marco and Alex Capetta made a shock appearance, showing some pace and finishing second and third, with Jared Cicluna finishing in fourth. Ryan Alvarado, the current championship leader, only managed 5th position, 1.1 seconds off the pace, with Matthew Capetta close behind him, followed by the 2 Red Bulls and the 2 Mercedes. As we now watch a replay of onboard with Marco Capetta getting caught out by Max Capetta, who has crashed into the barrier, and actually catching out Anthony Capetta as well, on the rundown to the chicanes in Sector 1. A replay of Matthew and Nico Capetta in Sector 1, and Matthew just running up the back of the Red Bull there. And Jared Cicluna got a perfect view of Max Capetta just nudging the barrier and sliding his way out of the chicanes, real Tokyo Drift style. On board with Anthony going down the inside of Alex Capetta, and Alex coming back across onto the racing line and pushing Anthony into the barrier. In an interview after the practice session, Alex claimed he didn't quite know Anthony was there and turned across to take the corner, and there was a car there, which he was unaware of. And it was high fives all round for Marco and Alex Capetta, who surprisingly finished second and third in the practice session, so they were quite happy with that result. And we are now live with the drivers who are just getting into their cars for the start of qualifying, and Jared Cicluna.
Pace car, do I have to stay behind him?
What's pace car?
There's a pace car now. Does that mean I have to stay behind him?
We have a pace car, yeah.
Stay behind him and then he'll come in.
Jared Cicluna being told that the drivers will start behind a pace car. And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen, confirmed from race control, drivers to follow the pace car during the outlap. And this is rather unusual, actually. We haven't had this in the Go-Kart Championship before, but I suspect one of the newer regulations from Luddenham Raceway. And essentially what a pace car is, if you're new to Formula 1 or to racing in general, is that the drivers will follow a single cart by the marshals out onto the track for an installation lap before starting the session. So and I think if you can see, well, you can't quite see it here, but the cart with the blue flag, and there it is just in front of Jared and I think Nico Capetta, is the pace car ready to lead the drivers out onto the track for qualifying now, for 1 lap before the drivers begin qualifying, which is an 18-minute session. So the start of qualifying will be all about who can get their tyres up to temperature first and begin setting some good laps, and hopefully this will be an interesting battle for pole position. We expect some of the front runners to be pulling out a 37.5 or maybe even a low 37 second lap for pole position, or to at least be qualifying at the start of the grid for the race. As you can see, the cars weaving left and right down the straight into the hairpin of turn 7, trying to get some temperature into these tyres to get the grip immediately for the start of this qualifying session. Anthony Capetta right at the back of the grid, so he'll have to get through those karts as we now ride on board with Jared Cicluna, very eager to get on with this qualifying session, and I'm sure we'll be wanting to put in some quick lap times early with the clean air that he has in front of him as the pace car now comes into the pits and the qualifying timer starts. Jared Cicluna sets off ahead of the pack. So never qualified higher than third position has Jared Cicluna, and after scoring no points last race, I'm sure will be keen to maximise this qualifying session and start the race as high up on the grid as possible. And we are now having a look at a replay on board with Anthony Capetta just moments ago, down into turn 2, and just loses the back end of the kart there, and does almost collects Matthew Capetta in the process as well. So all the drivers have now completed at least one lap in this session. Alex Capetta setting the fastest lap initially, followed by Max Capetta, and quite a big gap between second and third, where Jared Cicluna is currently sitting on board now with Ryan Alvarado. He's done a purple sector 1, purple meaning the best of the session so far. It's a green sector 2, so Ryan looking like he's on a quick lap himself, so we'll see where he comes out. And now out of the final corner, and doesn't go too wide on the exit of turn 13. He crosses the line and goes second fastest behind his teammate Alex Capetta, who's in the other McLaren. So both McLarens setting the pace early on in this session for the moment, as Ryan just being shown the black flag there. So I suspect he's either had contact with the barrier or has slid off, or perhaps had contact with another driver, as we have a little look at a replay, I think on the first lap of Ryan Alvarado around turn 2 through the S chicanes, and just nudged the barrier. And on board now with Marco's perspective of the incident, Ryan Alvarado just in front of him going through the S chicanes, and quite a nasty hit with the barrier, so that has been why he needs to take his car into the pits to get it checked. But one of the newer and certainly more stricter rules from Luddenham Raceway is that if a driver makes contact with another driver or the barrier, they will be shown the black flag and must take their car into the pits for mandatory check by the marshals. So Ryan Alvarado is now released from the pits and is free to carry on with his qualifying session as Marco Capetta crosses the line and tops the timesheets with a low 30-second lap. Nico Capetta now completes a proper lap and goes 8th fastest in the Red Bull. So all the times at the drivers starting to improve as we now watch on board with Jared Cicluna, who is in 7th position for the moment. Looks like he's starting a flying lap, and we'll have to wait and see where he comes out. Max Capetta crossing the line does an almost identical time to Marco Capetta, just 7/1000ths of a second off of provisional pole position, as Jared Cicluna now does a purple sector 1, a green sector 2. So this lap could be quick from the Ferrari driver through the S chicanes. He's nice on the exit there out of the S chicanes. Now round the final corner, he hits the apex perfectly, doesn't use the full track as it looks like there's actually someone there. Crosses the line, he now goes to the top of the timesheet. So Jared Cicluna, a 38.174 lap from him. That's fairly decent this early on in the session. Matthew Capetta now currently in 6th position. Not too sure if he's on a flying lap or not at the moment, but he'll certainly want to be improving his lap time before the end of this session. But Matthew Capetta, if we just talk about him for a quick second, he qualified 5th last time out in Luddenham and finished 3rd on the podium, so he'll certainly be wanting to put himself as high up on the grid for the race to hopefully replicate the same results that he got last race, if not better, and have a good chance of keeping in touch with Ryan and Anthony Capetta in this championship battle. So Matthew Capetta not currently on a fast lap, but he'll need to put in a fast lap soon. 13 minutes left of this session. And both of the Mercedes drivers down in 9th and 10th. Shashank Iyer in 9th for now, and Alex Caruana, I'm not too sure if he's put in a fast lap yet, but currently 7 seconds off the pace of pole position. Alex Caruana, of course, making his debut in the Go-Kart Championship, and Anthony Capetta also a hasn't been able to put in a quick lap himself. He's currently down in 7th position, but I suspect this is why there looks to be at least 3 or 4 cars of traffic in front of him. So he will need to do things the hard way and get through all those drivers one by one into clean air, or he'll need to back off and give himself a bit of room between himself and Marco Capetta in front of him, which actually I think he does just that. So Anthony might begin a flying lap here and put a competitive time on the board, and yes, looks like he is. So a bit of room between himself and that pack of cars in front of him as Anthony now sets off onto a competitive lap. And Anthony Capetta started on the front row last time around in Luddenham. Nick Wardle, of course, got pole position, so he'll want to put himself as far up the grid as possible this time around, as he's now done a purple sector 1 and also a purple sector 2, so this could be a very decent lap from Anthony Capetta. His teammate Jared Cicluna currently in first position. If he can nail the final corner, which he does, he's caught up to the back of the pack now, right behind Marco Capetta, and he now crosses the line and goes first fastest. Top of the timesheets with a 37.2, a mega lap from the Ferrari driver, and almost a second quicker than the rest of the field. So yeah, not a bad effort there from Anthony Capetta, as we are now right on board with Marco Capetta, currently in third position, also in that same pack that we just saw Anthony Capetta behind of. And it looks like Jared Cicluna is actually at the front of this pack, holding up, or potentially holding up Alex Capetta behind him and Max Capetta behind them. And I think there's a bit of contact there actually between Marco and Max Capetta. Max throwing his hand up in frustration, but Marco now starting to pick his way through the field to perhaps maybe improve on his lap time. He's currently in third position, but you get the feeling that this is almost like a race. Look at them down the hill, racing for position. Jared Cicluna going down to the inside, Alex following of I think that was Alex Caruana, and yeah, this is getting quite spicy. But this is not what qualifying is about. Qualifying is about getting the fastest lap possible, not overtaking drivers for position. So Marco Capetta now behind these two. Alex desperately trying to get past Jared Cicluna, getting quite frustrated. Marco now overtakes Alex, and he's picking his way through the field. Doing things the hard way is Marco, and now behind Jared Cicluna. But Marco Capetta has only ever started as high as 5th position for a race, but he's currently in 3rd and could potentially beat that record of him after quite a competitive... that was quite close there to the back of Jared Cicluna there. Very late on the brakes, Marco is, and yeah, after a strong practice session, I think Marco could, or he might actually feel at the moment that he could be quicker than 5th position, potentially maybe the 1st and 2nd row. And Ryan Alvarado looks like he's stuck behind Shashank Iyer and hasn't been able to put in a fast or a decent enough lap himself. 1.9 seconds off the pace of Anthony Capetta's lap, who's on pole position. But Ryan now down in 6th position, and yeah, potentially struggling. So the McLarens, who started off this session with a lot of pace, have yeah, been stuck behind other drivers. But, you know, that's exactly what qualifying is about. It's about finding a gap on the track where, you know, you don't have any drivers around you and putting in a fast lap. So that's what they'll need to do. Shashank Iyer crosses the line and improves on his time, as we now have a yellow flag in Sector 2. So I suspect a driver has gone off somewhere, and that is Marco Capetta and Jared Cicluna have come together down just after the hairpin in Sector 2. I wonder what happened there, but I suspect Marco was trying to make an attempt to get past Jared Cicluna, and man, neither driver will be happy with the other one. Well, hopefully we can get a replay of that situation there, as the marshal is on his way to free the drivers. But I wonder what happened there. They crashed. It looks like they've crashed in a bit of an odd position on the track, as the drivers are now free, and we have a green flag on track, and this qualifying session can continue. But hopefully if we get a replay of that soon, all of our questions will be answered, as we now watch a replay of on board with Marco Capetta. Jared Cicluna just in front of him, goes a little bit wide into the hairpin, and Marco now alongside him, and yep, okay, that's exactly what happened there. So Marco trying to go around the outside of Jared after Jared went wide, and as we have a look from Jared's perspective, Jared went wide. Marco saw a gap to get round the Ferrari driver around the outside, and then cuts across in front of Jared's racing line. So yeah, quite a sticky situation that one is, and I think there was another driver there behind these two, Alex Capetta, actually, who does his best not to get caught up in that collision, and oof, yeah, he goes off the track and onto the grass and spins around in an attempt to avoid those two. So, you know, who's at fault there? It's sort of hard to deduce from what we've seen. It could almost be argued both ways. Was Marco, you know, enough of a car length in front of Jared before, now as the situation is now under investigation by the stewards, but, you know, was Marco a full car length in front of Jared before cutting across into the racing line? But then again, it could also be argued the other way. In Marco's case, was Jared, or should Jared have yielded after Marco was alongside, or at least in front of him, going into the chicanes? But yeah, not the heat that either of the drivers would have wanted in this qualifying session. But Marco Capetta now on a fast lap. Sorry, Matthew Capetta beginning a fast lap just behind Marco here, and 7 minutes left of this qualifying session. So hopefully we can go to an onboard of Matthew Capetta. Here we are, on board with Matthew Capetta, and he's now done a personal best, Sector 1, currently in 7th position. Matthew Capetta is, so down the hairpin off turn 7. It's a personal best, Sector 2, so he's looking to improve on his time. He's currently 1.3 seconds off of Anthony's pole position time at the moment, and around the final corner he goes, doesn't quite hit the apex, doesn't quite use the full track to his advantage, but still crosses the line and goes 4th fastest. So he now bumps Ryan, Marco and Max down a position, and not a bad lap for the lead Renault driver at the moment. So the order for the moment, actually, as we have a quick little replay a couple moments ago, Matthew behind Max Capetta, and Max Capetta actually just waving Matthew through before Matthew started that flying lap that we just watched. So some nice companionship there between the two drivers. So Anthony Capetta looking like he's going to start another flying lap himself, and he sets off. So the leaderboard as it stands at the moment is Anthony Capetta on provisional pole position. He's done a 37.273 lap, but he's just actually gone purple through the first sector, so that time might improve. Followed by him is Alex Capetta, Jared Cicluna, and then Matthew Capetta. Ryan Alvarado down in P5. He is our current championship leader, but is only sitting in 5th position at the moment. Followed by Marco Capetta, Max Capetta, Shashank Gaya, Nico Capetta in 9th, and Alex Caruana in 10th position. Anthony now around the final corner. He's going to cross the line, and he has gone faster than before. He's improved on his previous lap time and is now over 2/10 quicker than what he was before, but over a second quicker than the rest of the pack at the moment. Can anyone at this stage of qualifying challenge Anthony for a pole position? 5 minutes left in this session, so we'll see what happens. But from 2nd all the way down to 7th, so from where Alex Capetta is on the leaderboard down to where Max Capetta is in 7th position, is it's looking quite tight. Only 2/10 difference between P2 and P7 at the moment. So the midfield is quite tight, quite competitive, and we'll have to see what happens now as Matthew Capetta and Anthony getting a little bit racy towards the late stages of qualifying. But Anthony Capetta looking quite strong here again at Luddenham Raceway. He qualified 2nd on the front row last time out, and is now currently sitting on the front row again, but in pole position this time. So you almost get the feeling that Anthony feels quite at home here at Luddenham, and rather likes the track flow. But with just 4 minutes now left of this qualifying session, the drivers are not going to have many more opportunities to put in fast laps here. So it is all coming down to these final minutes of qualifying. Who will be on pole position, who will be on 2nd, and who will be starting 3rd are the questions on everyone's mind at the moment. As I believe someone's actually just rejoining the track there. It looks like Alex Capetta might have spun at the bottom of the hill. And Alex Capetta actually currently on the front row. He's sat in P2 for now, but I think he might have found his mojo back. He qualified in a very low 8th position last time out in Luddenham, but yeah, he's currently sitting on the front row alongside Anthony Capetta. Alex actually starting a new hot lap now 3.5 minutes rather, of this qualifying session to go. So let's see if Alex Capetta can improve on his time there, as I think Anthony was just shown the black flag for maybe a bit of contact with Matthew, or he might have nudged the barrier. Alex Capetta goes and does it's a green sector 1, so he's put in a personal best sector 1 there. It's a personal best sector 2. He will certainly be improving on his time there. And he's had a rather good qualifying session, has Alex Capetta. Certainly, certainly found his mojo, certainly found his pace as opposed to last race. He's now coming around the final corner. He's going to cross the line and does improve on his previous lap time, but not by enough to challenge Anthony Capetta for pole position. 2.5 minutes left of the session. He might get another couple of laps in, as Matthew is actually being shown the black flag. Alex coming down the hill. Matthew lets Alex through, but I'm not too sure why Matthew's been shown the black flag. But he will need to take his car into the pits to get a mandatory check by the marshals, which might ruin his chances of putting in another fast lap here in qualifying. As Anthony Capetta now enters the pits to get his car checked from the black flag infringement from before. Matthew Capetta ignores the black flag and actually sets off on another lap himself. He's trailing Alex Capetta at the moment, so he might be able to get a bit of a slipstream or maybe a bit of a tow. No, I'm just kidding. This isn't Monza. Tows and slipstreams do not exist here at Luddenham. But he's done a personal best sector 1 and a personal best sector 2. So Matthew, who's currently sat in P4, might improve on his current time now. Down the back straight, he's gonna, if he can nail the final corner, he's gone a bit wide on the entry, but nails the apex. Doesn't quite use the full track. He's now going to cross the line. He goes up into P3. Just a minute and a half left of this session. Jared Cicluna's been bumped down to P4 now. And Marco Capetta is also on a flying lap of his own. So Marco Capetta currently sat in 6th. He's done a personal best sector 1. But can he improve and put himself on the 3rd or 4th row of the grid? Ryan Alvarado now goes P3 right behind his teammate Alex Capetta. And Marco Capetta has just put in a purple sector 2. His current lap time is looking almost identical to that of Anthony Capetta's. If he can nail the final corner, which he does, he could challenge for pole position here, coming down the straight. Where is Marco Capetta? Oh, he's P2! Marco's gone P2! Just 2/10 down off of what Anthony Capetta's time is, but my oh my, Marco pulled out the lap where it was needed the most. Just 50 seconds left of this qualifying session, and I don't think anyone else is currently on a fast lap. But boy oh boy, what a lap from Marco Capetta. That was quite exciting to watch. And now Alex Capetta now goes off the track, trying to get around Matthew Capetta through the chicanes, and they're either throwing gang signs up at each other or there's a bit of road rage. So something's happened there. I think Matthew was trying to get around Alex Capetta to maybe start another lap, but there's only 20 seconds left of this session and they won't be able to finish another lap, which means this man right here will be on pole position for the race unless someone finishes their lap, and there is absolutely no one currently on a fast lap. So Anthony Capetta is going to cross the line and he will be starting on pole position. Marco Capetta on the front row for the first time, and the highest qualifying position, not just for him but for any Renault driver ever. So when he finds out, he will be very much proud of himself, and his team will be proud of him as well. And I'm sure Fernando Alonso would be very proud of the Renault driver. But we need to take a moment to recognise the amazing effort from both the McLaren drivers as well. Alex Capetta starting on 3rd and Ryan Alvarado on 4th. So the McLarens have locked out the 2nd row, and Alex Capetta qualifying ahead of his teammate and the championship leader, Ryan Alvarado. So a mega effort from Alex and from Ryan and from the McLaren team as a whole. So very consistent from both of them. But the stewards will have to investigate the issue from Marco and Jared Cicluna, and now both Alex and Matthew Capetta will be under investigation as well for that incident that we just saw moments ago. Road rage involving Alex and Matthew, which will be investigated after the session along with the other incidents. So hopefully we can get a couple of replays of both of those incidents separately now as the drivers get out of their cars.
You're lucky I didn't actually stop the car.
You're an idiot! Oh, you're an idiot!
Hey, Anthony.
Jesus!
I got that on.
You're lucky
I got,
I didn't
he
break
goes
your car.
off the track.
That would have been
Alex.
Alex?
I've got it on the video. It was right
Oh,
behind
no.
him. It was great. Great footage. Really good. I got that.
Why are you brake checking me, bro? No, I was supposed to back with you, bro.
Yes, I didn't know.
So Alex Cabetta clearly not happy with Matthew and a lot of the other drivers out on track.
Oh my god, that's our time again! Right? We got the second row, Chief. We got the second row.
Am I P2?
You got second. You got second.
Welcome to the front row. Front row.
That's the podium.
And Anthony Cabetta there giving Marco a very warm welcome to the front row. So Anthony Cabetta will be starting on pole position behind him. Marco Cabetta, who was just 2/10 shy of his first pole position, but still a great result from Renault nonetheless. The McLarens will be starting 3rd and 4th with the other Renault driver, Matthew Capetta, down in P5 and Jared Cicluna down in P6, followed by Max Capetta and Nico Capetta on the 4th row, the 2 Red Bulls, and the 2 Mercedes drivers on the 5th row. So just having now a little look at a replay between the incident of Marco Capetta and Jared Cicluna again, and Marco Capetta cutting across into Jared Cicluna's line, but Jared Cicluna also could have yielded. So I feel like that incident was certainly avoidable, but yeah, it's just what happens when you're out on track. You're both racing for track position and obviously the clean air, and Marco obviously felt that Jared Cicluna had left the door open and saw a way past, as we now have a look at the second incident of the day. And yeah, Alex Capetta just taking to the grass off the track. I think he wasn't expecting Matthew Capetta to go down the inside of him, especially not during the S chicanes. So it's a very tricky part of the track, and he obviously turned to take the chicanes, and Matthew went down the inside, and Alex didn't see that there was a car there and took to the grass to avoid a collision. But yeah, clearly not happy with the way that Matthew had handled that situation, but Matthew also not happy with the way that Alex handled that situation. So that's what happens when you're racing and yeah, obviously fighting for track position. So we now have a look at Alex's perspective, but luckily for all the drivers, the stewards have now just decided that these incidents will be nothing more than racing incidents, and that yeah, no penalties should be awarded to any of the drivers. So the grid will be starting as we saw it at the end of qualifying. So we are just moments away from the start of this race, so let's take a quick look at the starting grid for the Grand Prix. Anthony lines up on pole position for the second time in his career, and Marco will be joining him on the front row for the first time in his career. Behind them are the 2 McLarens who have locked out the second row. Alex Capetta will be starting in 3rd ahead of his teammate Ryan Alvarado in 4th position. Matthew will be starting from 5th on the grid for a second race running, and will have Jared Cicluna to keep him company on the 3rd row. Max out-qualifies his teammate Nico for a 3rd race running, and both the Red Bulls will be starting alongside each other on the 4th row. And the 2 Mercedes drivers will be starting at the back of the grid. Shashank Iyer, who finished in the points last time around, will be starting 9th, and Alex Caruana, making his go-kart debut, rounds off the grid in 10th position. So we now join the drivers live for the start of this race as they make their way to the grid. Anthony Capetta has never won a race before, and my favourite statistic of the season so far is that no driver has won a race from pole position. Jared Cicluna won the first race at UKS, the indoor track, after starting from 3rd on the grid, and Ryan Alvarado won last time out here at Luddenham in the rain after also starting from 3rd on the grid. So statistically speaking, Alex Capetta has the best chance of winning this race. Alex, of course, has never scored a podium before, but will he be able to change that today and turn his luck around? Well, we'll certainly find out soon enough. And I am certainly most excited to see Marco Capetta starting on the front row next to Anthony Capetta. Marco has also never scored a podium before, and we can almost bet on the fact that Marco will certainly want to take a stab at winning this race. But will he challenge for the lead on lap 1 or lap 2 or any of the other 28 laps of this race? And we are just moments away from lights out of this Grand Prix as we now watch on board with Marco Capetta for the start of this race. We have 3 lights, 4 lights, we have 5 lights. and it's lights out and away we go. It's a slow start off the line from Marco and Anthony, but they both managed to get up to speed quite well. Marco tucking in just behind Anthony as Matthew is alongside Alex Capetta, and is going to have a little look down the inside of Alex into turn 2. He's unsettled the car on the exit, and Alex now with a lot more traction, swinging back around the outside down into the S chicanes, and retakes 4th position off Matthew. Ryan Alvarado also making up positions. He's up into 3rd as down the hill they go one by one. On board now with Jared Cicluna for the battle for 4th, and Matthew now has gone a little bit too wide. He slides off the track right there, and it looks like he's missed his braking point and has lost the rear down into the tricky hairpin of turn 7. But it's Anthony Capetta who leads from Marco, from Ryan Alvarado, who's already gotten past his teammate on the opening lap. Alex Capetta down in 4th, followed by Jared in the Ferrari, and then the 2 Red Bulls of Max and Nico Capetta, and then Shashank Gaia. But a costly mistake from Matthew Capetta means his hopes of scoring another podium this race are looking very slim at the moment. And I think also Ryan Alvarado in the McLaren has hit the barrier of these S chicanes right here. So if he is shown the black flag, that could mean his chances of scoring some good points this race could also go down the drain as well. But I'm not entirely sure if the marshals saw who exactly hit the barrier. So Ryan may get away with that incident, and Anthony and Marco out in front battling for the lead. And it was quite a clean start from these two at the front as we now ride on board with Jared Cicluna in 5th place. Jared has lost the rear end of the car on the final corner, and there's contact with another driver going into Jared Cicluna, and Jared has now lost 5 positions from that incident and is also out of the battle for the podium. Jared Cicluna, who had spun out last race in Luddenham, has spun out again in this race, and he is now being shown the black flag, and it is all going downhill for Jared Cicluna. He will have to take his car into the pits to get it checked, and that will take him out of contention for scoring some good points this race. And yeah, that is super unlucky for Jared. This track is certainly not going to be one of his favourites after today, as he is now running outside the points and in 9th position, so not the start that Jared would have wanted. And he now heads into the pits to get his car checked. We now ride on board with Matthew Capetta on lap 4. He's now getting closer and closer to the back of Shashank Gaia. He might actually challenge Shashank for 7th position, but he's not close enough on this occasion. So Matthew Capetta eager to get back into the fight and start overtaking some drivers, as we now have a little replay of Jared Cicluna just losing the back end, slides straight into the barrier, and along comes Shashank Gaia and bang into the front of Jared's kart, and Matthew Capetta almost getting collected as well. Matthew very narrowingly misses the clipping the back of Jared's kart as well. So we now return to the race on board with Matthew Capetta, who's a lot closer to Shashank Gaia down into turn 2. Shashank Gaia just going a little bit too wide, which has allowed Matthew now to come alongside the Mercedes driver and overtakes him for 7th position. So a very good move there from Matthew Capetta. And what a start it has been to this race for the midfield drivers. But it's Anthony Capetta who leads from Marco, and I would very much like to see a replay of the start of this race soon, as here we go. On board with Ryan Alvarado, who started 3rd. Ryan goes alongside his teammates and gets past him just before the kink of turn 1, and almost looks like he's going to challenge Marco Capetta down into turn 2, but thinks twice about it and settles for 3rd on this occasion. A decent start from the McLaren driver and the championship leader, and that is where he hit the barrier going down the hill. And on board from Matthew's perspective, Matthew also had a decent start, and you can see Alex actually letting his teammate through, and Matthew following in from Ryan's overtake, now down the inside, but doesn't quite get the grip on the tyres that he wanted to. Alex now swinging back around the outside, has more traction and has track position as well going into the chicanes, and that was quite a juicy battle there for 4th. And this is where Matthew just loses grip and slides off into the sand at the tricky hairpin of turn 7. We saw Anthony Capetta do it last race, and Matthew has done it this time on board with Alex Capetta, and he gets away quite well himself and lets his teammate through, but he's looking left and looking right. He's got Matthew down the inside, and that is Max Capetta in the Red Bull. Round the outside, they're going 3 wide into turn 2. He squeezes Max out on the outside and has so much more grip than Matthew Capetta down the inside, and retakes the position before the S chicanes. And Alex almost getting swallowed by the pack behind him. And on board now from Jared's perspective. Jared wasn't the best off the line, but he's now getting up to speed. and Matthew now just shutting the door on the inside. Max, swinging around the outside, and they're going 3 wide just in front of him. He now retakes the position off Max Capetta, and you can see Alex overtaking Matthew down the hill, and Ryan Alvarado a little bit further up the road, hitting the barrier of the exit of those chicanes. So, and there goes Matthew, and quite a juicy start from this Grand Prix, and from Jared's perspective, certainly, as we now watch a replay of Matthew Capetta going wide on lap 2 and running off the track and into the sand again. And luckily for him, the marshal wasn't looking, so it doesn't look like he's going to get a black flag for that. But not the start that Matthew would have wanted, but he is starting to claw his way back, as we now see him behind his brother Nico Capetta for the battle for 6th position. Nico in the Red Bull, obviously he's had a good start, he's made up a couple of positions himself, but Matthew now, he's very close to the back of that Red Bull. Matthew now is starting to pick up a bit of pace after his 2 mistakes on at the start of this race, and looking to be picking his way off through the field, as Nico now goes a little bit too wide, and Matthew now and Nico going side by side down the straight. Matthew waving Nico down to slow down, but that's not how this works. Matthew's going to get round himself, and he does. He has the inside line going down into turn 2, and Matthew Capetta in the Renault now up to 6th position. So starting to mount a comeback. He is now racing in the position where he started. So it doesn't look like the mistakes of lap 1 and lap 2 have mattered too much to Matthew at the moment, as we watch on board with Anthony Capetta behind his teammate Jared, who's running in last place at the moment. So Anthony about to lap his teammate. He's not going to want Jared to hold him up too much, as he's got Marco just behind him. Jared now pulls out to the outside of the track and lets his teammate through. So they're definitely working together there. The 2 Ferraris, Marco Capetta now starting to catch up to Jared Cicluna as well, and Anthony Capetta starting to build a gap to Marco in 2nd position. So Anthony might now start to run away with this win, as Marco now coming alongside down the straight of Jared Cicluna, and Jared doing the right thing and keeping out of the way of Marco Capetta, and the battle for the win is back on. Anthony leading from Marco Capetta. So we are now on lap 14, almost halfway through this race, and Anthony is leading from Marco and from Ryan, and the gap between Anthony and Marco to the rest of the pack is getting bigger and bigger lap by lap. So Anthony and Marco starting to drive away with the top 2 positions, and they almost look like they're in a bit of a league of their own, as we can see up the road. Anthony Capetta, or Marco actually, now just setting a new fast lap, so he's certainly in hot pursuit for this win, and Anthony Capetta just in front of him, now catching up to the back of another car. I'd like to go on board with Anthony soon to have a look at how that plays out, but some of the slower cars now beginning to be lapped by the faster cars, as we watch on board with Anthony. And I think that's Alex Caruana, who's in 9th position. Anthony now lapping the Mercedes driver, and Alex Caruana obviously not in the battle for with Anthony Capetta, so he moves out to the right in turn 2, lets Anthony through, and also lets Marco through. So these back markers certainly doing their job properly, and not interfering with any of the battles that are going on at the front of the grid. So definitely a good effort from the boys at the back. We do have to commemorate them for that. But Anthony ahead of Marco. Marco now starting to close the gap, it looks like, to Anthony. Marco also currently has the fastest lap, and if Marco manages to finish in the top 4, he will get an extra point, an extra championship point for the fastest lap, as Marco now goes even faster again. He sets a new fastest lap, and the gap now building between Marco and Ryan Alvarado and the rest of the pack. So the 2 at the front showing a lot more pace over the rest of the drivers, and Ryan Alvarado is coming down the hill and is about to lap Jared Cicluna. So we've never seen an on-track battle between Jared in the Ferrari and Ryan in the McLaren before. It's always been that one of them has spun. Well, for Jared's case, it's always been that Jared has spun, rather. So I feel like this is the closest thing that we're going to get at the moment to a battle between these two drivers. And Jared looking like he's actually catching up to Alex Caruana in front of him. Ryan Alvarado looks like he's being held up by Jared Cicluna down the hill, and Jared not yielding the position to let Ryan Alvarado through. So yeah, Jared obviously a bit hesitant to let Ryan through, as Jared is now in a battle of his own, the battle for 9th, and Ryan Alvarado now a lot closer to the back of that Ferrari, and Jared obviously now a lot closer to the back of that Mercedes. So yeah, Alex Caruana leading this pack, and Jared Cicluna is in that battle for 9th as well. So yeah, Jared's last priority at the moment is to let the faster cars behind him through, because he is actually fighting for position here. Down the hill they go, and Alex Capetta is caught right back up to the back of his teammate, because yeah, Ryan obviously being held up by these two lapped cars here. And the longer that this goes on, the longer that Ryan and Alex Capetta are stuck behind these back markers, the more Max Capetta will be licking his lips at an opportunity to fight for the podium. Max Capetta, you can't currently see him, but he is right behind Alex Capetta in 5th position. So yeah, Ryan will need to get past these two back markers to allow his teammate Alex to get past. Alex getting a bit frustrated there, and Max in hot pursuit of the two McLarens behind. Alex Caruana now goes a little bit too wide and has allowed Jared Cicluna to get past up into 9th position. And Ryan Alvarado through the S chicanes. Oh, it might have been a little bit of contact there between the two drivers. Ryan waves his hand as an apology to Alex, but Ryan is through, and Alex Capetta is now behind Alex Caruana and doesn't quite have the traction down the straight to get alongside the lapped car. And I'm not entirely sure if Alex Caruana knows that Alex Capetta is there, and Alex just goes a little bit too wide into turn 2. He's looking around because he knows Max Capetta is there. Down into the S chicanes, doesn't quite nail the corner, and Max Capetta now, you can see him on the right of Alex Capetta coming down the hill, and Alex Capetta just keeps him at bay for the moment, but he will need to get past Alex Caruana, this lapped car in front of him, if he has any chance, or any hope rather, of keeping Max Capetta behind him. But the Red Bull is certainly on the hunt to overtake Alex Capetta here, and yes, now Alex is up past Alex Caruana, and this is very confusing, talking about too many Alexes in one go. They shouldn't be next to each other on track, because I'm not too sure which Alex is which. So Anthony in the Ferrari is still leading this race ahead of Marco. These two in a quite a tasty battle for the win, and quite certainly in a bit of a league of their own. They've left Ryan Alvarado and Alex Capetta and the rest of the pack, for that matter, pretty much left them behind, as it almost looks like there could be a couple of raindrops on the GoPro of Marco Capetta. So rain might be on its way with just 7 laps to go, and Jared Cicluna just getting past Shashank there, as we can see on the tailboard, and actually Alex Caruana also getting past his teammate Shashank. So I suspect Shashank might have spun out or headed into the pits for to get his car checked. I'm not too sure, as Marco Capetta is now closer than ever, and really starting to put the pressure on in these late stages of the race. 6 laps to go, and he is in hot pursuit of Anthony. He's just now set another fast lap, and he's really closed the gap to the Ferrari, up in the lead. And Anthony now getting stuck behind yet another back marker. That's certainly not going to help him. This time it's Nico Capetta, and just nudges Nico out of the way. And Marco is now right on the tail of Anthony Capetta. They're going down the straight. Marco right behind. Is he going to make a dive down into turn 2? Well, not this lap. He's not quite close enough on this occasion. But Marco now certainly fighting for the win, certainly wants the win, and he can see it. It is in his sights, but Anthony just managing to pull away down the hill and in sector 2 from Marco. But Marco, we can see, is a lot cleaner on the final corner, and even just in the final sector altogether than Anthony is currently. But Anthony now behind, I think, another lapped car. That could be Alex Caruana again, and there is a yellow flag somewhere around track. I suspect someone's gone off. Nico Capetta now losing position. So I think Nico has slid off maybe into the barrier. So he will need to go and get his car checked in the pits as it's green flag and the cars are back up to racing speed. But Marco now coming down the hill. Anthony stuck behind Alex Caruana, but not for much longer. Alex lets them through and the battle for the win is closer than ever. Marco has really closed the gap on Anthony here and yeah, certainly wants the win. Marco not quite ready to settle just for a podium, but yeah, definitely wants that win and to be on the top step of that podium here today. But 4 laps remaining and Marco now, 3 laps remaining, sorry. Marco's not going to have many more opportunities or even laps left in this race to make a move on Anthony Capetta. But what I'm sure the viewers at home didn't know is that the final lap, lap 30, is not a full lap. It is a half lap, and the drivers will finish the race whenever the red flag comes out to conclude the session. So Marco doesn't really have 3 full laps left. He's really only got 2.5 left. So he needs to get a little bit closer, but Anthony's starting to pull away now. Yeah, Marco needs to get a little bit closer to the Ferrari if he wants to challenge for the win. But Marco's done absolutely fantastic. We expected Anthony to get pole position and to take off rather in the lead with for the win, and we haven't seen that. We've seen Marco keeping in touch with Anthony Capetta instead, and whatever Marco's been doing, we certainly like it, because a battle for the win is exactly what we want to see in this go-kart championship. It certainly spices things up, and it certainly opens the door for new race winners to score their first win. But for today, coming around now onto the straight as they begin lap 29, Anthony looking like his first win is in sight. He's only got a lap and a bit to complete before he takes victory here in Luddenham. But Marco Capetta is not letting up, he is not giving up, he's still right there, right behind the Ferrari driver. And Marco currently on his way to score his first podium, but will certainly like to pick up a win instead if the opportunity presents itself. But Anthony has driven fantastically as well, has kept Marco at bay, and you can see down the straight he's looking left, he's looking right, he knows Marco is right behind him, and what Anthony doesn't want is to not be able to see Marco, because then that would mean that Marco is right behind him and not in his peripherals as they begin the final lap. And Anthony is shown the checkered flag by the marshals. Down the hill they go, and it is looking like Marco is a bit too far back to mount an attack on Anthony, the Ferrari driver. So I think Anthony will take the victory here at Luddenham as the red flag comes out, and he has. Anthony Capetta wins the Luddenham Encore Grand Prix. Behind him is Marco Capetta to take his first podium and another podium for the Renault team. So a fantastic effort from these two at the front. Ryan Alvarado rounds off the podium. He finishes third for McLaren, and it's his third podium in a row. So a mega job for the top 3, the podium sitters. And I think, if my calculations are correct, Anthony Capetta will take the lead of this championship by 1 point from Ryan Alvarado. And Marco Capetta, scoring his first podium, is also voted driver of the day by the other drivers. A mega effort, and quite a nail-biting couple of laps, I'm sure, for Anthony Capetta, as you can see. Quite, yeah, thumbs up all around to these two drivers. There's certainly a lot of respect between these two. And Ryan Alvarado, although he has lost the lead of this championship, he still managed to score a podium, and that's 3 in a row for Ryan Alvarado, and it's a 3rd and 4th finish for McLaren. So they will walk away with the most points as a team here today. And Alex Capetta,
I got 3rd. Yes.
Yeah, they're definitely happy with that.
Joe, did you spin? You kept me on the edge of my seat the entire race. Oh my god. The most points in the race. Matthew got hit. Matthew was behind me. I didn't go too. You kept me on the edge of my seat. Yeah.
I pushed you every way. I was right on you.
I couldn't pull away from you. Oh my god. I got a bit screwed up.
So, race 3 is done, and that marks the halfway point of this season. Anthony Capetta takes his first win of the season. Marco Capetta scores his first podium, and Ryan Alvarado is on the podium for a 3rd race running. So a mega effort from the top 3. Alex Capetta, although losing a podium position played the team game quite wisely and let Ryan through on the podium. Max Capetta finishes in 5th position. Behind him is Matthew Capetta, who had a tough start to the race, and behind them is Jared Cicluna and Alex Caruana, scoring his first points in his debut. Started 10th and made up 2 positions, so a mega effort from Alex Caruana. And we go racing again in April of 2022 for round 4 of the Go-Kart Championship, the Picton Grand Prix, the first of its kind and a first time for all the drivers at this track, and I'm certain will bring plenty of excitement to the championship. But until then, thank you for joining us.
Team Ferrari, dominating performance today, taking out the win. Anthony, just an absolute masterclass today during warm-up, qualifying and in the race. How do you feel you did personally today?
Yeah, the first couple of sessions was definitely easier than the race. I was able to pull away, actually no, I wasn't able to pull away at all from Marco. Had so much pace out of absolutely nowhere, and I made a couple of mistakes, but was lucky to actually get away with the win today. But congratulations to Marco. I think this is his first podium, and he drove really, really well. But I think overall, pretty good.
Would you say that was your most intense battle you've had in the 3 race series so far?
Absolutely, absolutely. I've never worked harder than I just worked, so I'm dead.
Jared, 7th place today.
Look,
you hold yourself to a much higher standard than that.
As they say, racing is a team sport, and as a team we came first, so that's all that matters.
Absolutely.
Without my points, we wouldn't have come first, so therefore we came first. I'm happy with that. I nudged the fucking, what's it called, the barrier, got the black flag, had to pull over, got lapped, managed to come back a little bit, but not good enough.
You've expressed your disappointment over that. What would you have preferred to have happened instead?
Go to a different racetrack with different employees that actually know what they're doing and maybe don't give me a black flag for no reason. That's what I would say, yeah.
You guys are currently tied, I believe, now for the race lead, or you've taken over?
Ryan and I, yeah, we are, I believe we're tied on points, if my math is correct.
But as teams, we're ahead.
But as a team, I
because
think
of my 2
Ferrari
points.
are still ahead in the championship. But I think Ryan actually still is classified first in the Drivers' Championship because he scored 3 podiums. I've only scored 2. So when you're tied on points, then it comes down to whoever's finished highest throughout the whole season, I think. So, yeah.
Do you have a message for him? I know he's been talking a lot of trash to you in the lead up, and most likely will continue to try and throw you off your game. But do you have a message for him?
No, nothing that he says will ever faze me. Ryan's one of those drivers that's sometimes a bit all talk. But you know, congratulations to him. He also scored his 3rd podium in a row, which is still a very good performance. But yeah, no, I'm definitely enjoying the rivalry.
That's great to hear. Beautiful work today, Ferrari. Great job. McLaren, very successful team performance today you guys had. You guys are now coming second, I believe.
Tying with Ferrari.
Tying with Ferrari, yes, indeed. Ryan, you are still on top based off podiums.
Yeah.
How do you feel you did today, coming off actually winning this race the last time we were here?
Yeah, obviously disappointed that I didn't get the same result as last time, of course, but I had a really good team behind me, giving me the go. Feel like I did the best. Team let me pass, yes. I feel like I did the best what I could with the current situation. I just got to improve around those corners a bit more to get the better, faster times.
You had a lot of build-up this race with Anthony Capetta. You said you were getting into his head and that you were the reason he bought a 5K go-kart.
No comment.
Yeah, no comment on the matter.
Shut your mouth.
Alex Capetta.
Yeah.
We all know what happened in the last time you came here. You had a very bad crash that ended your race and pretty much took you out of contention immediately.
Yeah, last 2 races.
How do you feel you did now, though?
Weren't the best result because I got taken out, but you know, bounced back really well. I think I shocked everyone as well. No one really saw that coming. So we got good result for the team, which is really good. Jared, apparently something happened to Jared at Ferrari, so he dropped off, which that really helps as well in terms of keeping coming up to tying. So hopefully the next race we can perform. Jared did stop us from trying to catch the front runners, Anthony at Ferrari and Marco at Renault, but it's all right. It's all right. Probably that was a tactic move, but it's all good. No, we got a podium in the 4th. I let Ryan through because he had a really good start in the beginning, and hopefully he can win the championship. Hopefully, and hopefully we can win the constructors too, the teams. You know, it was a really massive result, all things considering, from previous races.
Proud of you, man.
Yeah. That's exactly what we want to hear. True teammates right here, and they will fight for each other at the very
I was
end.
thinking about going to Red Bull, but after today's performance, I think I might stay with McLaren. Ryan as a teammate. Yeah.
3-year contract deal.
He's got me on a 3-year contract. He's writing me up 3. He's spoken to the team principal. He's like, no, this kid's good now. He's back on top, and yeah.
I have to ask, gentlemen, I asked this to Ferrari, but now I gotta ask this to you. Do you have a message for them?
Fuck them.
We are breathing down your necks. You'll feel, you know we're there. I think Anthony is probably the most to lose. He's the one that probably cracks under pressure. So I think once we crack him, we pretty much got Ferrari. So we'll see. Next race we're at Picton, so it's going to be a rock quick. Got to rock up, perform. You know, there's no time for error. So I think that's within well within our range. I think I think we are the better team.
Brilliant performance today. Well done, McLaren. Renault, great performance today. So Marco came second today with fastest lap. How do you feel you can move forward with that performance?
The team worked really well. They got the car set up right. We got temp in the tyres, no problem. And you know, but unfortunately Anthony was just too quick. We tried to take P1 off him, but we just couldn't. So, but good team, good points for the team today. So we're quite happy.
Matthew, how do you feel you've done with your performance today?
It was disappointing having the cold tyres to start out. We spun out, made my way up to, started out, got 4th, and then dropped down to 9th. Clawed our way back up through the field to get 6th in the end. It's a very fortunate position to get.
Well, you guys did beautiful today, and hopefully we can see you do even better in the next race. Right.
Absolutely, thank you.
All right, Alex Caruana and Shashank Iyer for the Mercedes team. Not the day that you were hoping for, but still scored some points. Alex, congratulations on your debut race, scoring a single point from 8th position. How did you like it out there today?
It was a good run. Had it all good. Came 8th. All that matters.
I believe you made up a position from qualifying 9th or 10th as well?
Coming from 10th place, I became 8th, and that's surprising for me, but yeah, not bad for my first run.
Yeah, no, very, very good job. And Shashank Iyer, not the day that you were hoping for, scoring points last race, but no points today. What are your thoughts?
I think it was not a good race for me. It's particularly after the crash at the end of the very first lap. In fact, I severely felt winded. In fact, after that, like it took a lot out of me, and I started feeling a bit of pain in my right shoulder. So I was considering pulling out of the race quite early at one point, and when I let the demons get into my head, it was just really bad. I started skidding out a lot on the track because I struggled to put weight on my weight into the turns, and then it was affecting my right shoulder, and then it just really wasn't going well for me. I got a black flag where I actually got taken out of the race when I was in 8th position, in fact. So then so it is what it is. I didn't expect, if I'm being honest, like after that crash to even get back into the race, but like look, onwards to greater things, and hopefully I can at least get back into the points for the next race. So, yeah.
Fantastic. Keep your heads high, boys. Well done.
Gentlemen, great performance today, if you could say so. How do you feel you did today, in terms of yourself? Massimo, how do you feel you did?
Well, you know, Christian Horner, he's the one shifty bastard. You know, out of the start, he told me we were going to do the short stint, and so therefore just one piece of panettone with the coffee before the start. But then they told me it was going to be plan A plus a 9 a lap. I mean, you know, I know they were going to do the bucatini with the cachepep, which is very nice. And then after we got in there, they gave me the coffee, they put a little bit extra, maybe they put a bit extra in the fuel tank as well, but shh, don't tell Michael Messi, it's all right. And we got a P5.
So there was a bit of controversy at the start. You expressed your disappointment over it. What would you like to say about it at the moment?
You know, like next time, if I want to have a 2-piece of panettone before I start, then that's all good.
Nicholas, 9th today. Bit disappointing after your 2nd place in the last race. But how do you feel you can look to bounce back in the next race?
Well, I think next race we'll definitely have our car will definitely suit to the track next race. Moving on to we're moving on to the next track, but bounce back. Just need to amp up the training, get a little bit more fitness. It's been a long break since the last one, with all the outbreaks and stuff with COVID-19. But
you need to have a little bit more tortellini. You'll go faster.
Yeah, need some more pasta, need some more fitness, and I'll be fine.
Brilliant work today, guys. Hopefully you can look to do even better next race though, but well done.